Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be ranking eyeshadow palettes, and I decided to kind of keep this focused on summer releases specifically because we're hitting kind of the end of July now, and before you know it, it's going to be fall. So I kind of wanted to just go through. There was a lot of eyeshadow palettes that did release this summer, but I just wanted to talk about ones that I personally got to play with and what my thoughts were on them. So we're gonna rank them. Just a handful, it's not a ton. If you guys missed any of my giveaways, you want to check my other videos. I'm doing one giveaway a week. So, and in most of them, I didn't announce the giveaway on like the thumbnail or the title. They're just kind of hidden in the video. So if you guys want to enter those giveaways, check my last few videos. Trying to think if there's anything else. No, I think that's it. So if you guys would like to see me rank the summer released eyeshadow palettes that I have right here in front of me, then keep on watching. Alright, so I have 6 palettes in total. I narrowed it down to 6 because these are the ones that stood out to me the most. They were either the ones that were the most talked about or the ones I used the most, but I picked 6. So number 6 is gonna upset a lot of people, I feel. But coming in at the bottom for me, let's bear in mind this is my personal opinion, it's just an opinion, is the Mini Breaker from Jeffree Star. And I'm sad to put this on the list, because, you know, his shadows are great, but there's a couple of things that I don't like about this palette. I don't understand it. The colors are just weird. I tried to use some of the shades. They were a little bit patchy, if I'm being honest. And this shade here, it looks like it's a brown in the pan, but it really translates gray on me. It's very, very, and see how patchy that is? Like, look at, like, I can't even get, the swatch doesn't, I can't even deepen that. That was 3 passovers. I feel like this is just not, I don't know, this is just not like what I would expect from him. And it's, I like the idea of a mini, but the colors in here don't make a whole lot of sense. Like, I don't know. I didn't really like it. Like, this shade has like glitter in it, and that the orange shade is decent, but the purple is kind of patchy too. If see, like, there's a second run over, but it's like super patchy here. The best shade in the palette, I think, is this gold shade right here. This gold shade is stunning. Like, oh, it's so pretty. But aside from that, like, I don't know. I'm just like, like this pink. All right, you ready? I'm going to swatch this. I just swatched it right there, but I want to show you in person. Like, it's patchy and kind of underwhelming. Like, it's not super pigmented. And I mean, that looks like it's going to be a bright pink in the pan. The one on the bottom swatch is really good. And that is this lavender kind of, it's like a magenta-y lavender shade. That one's nice. It's just very inconsistent, I guess, and that's not typical of Jeffree Star in my experience. I don't have a ton of experience with his stuff, but I don't know, I was just disappointed. I just thought this was going to be better, and then when I, you know, started messing with the shades, it just, I don't know, it just didn't do much for me. There's just not a lot you can do with this. You definitely need to supplement with other palettes. So if you're a collector, this makes sense, but if you're just looking for a fun, colorful palette, like, you're pretty limited with this. So I don't know, this was just not my favorite. All right, so this next one is probably gonna upset some people too, and I really am sad that I'm putting this on here. But coming in at number 5 is the Rustic Glam palette from Dominique Cosmetics. I had high hopes for this palette. I really did. You know, when I talked about it in the Glam report, when it was first coming out, I didn't quite understand these blues, and I didn't understand, and I figured that I wouldn't use them, and I was right. The pigment is there. I will say that. The pigment is there. But what I was having the most trouble with this palette was that the shades were, there was so much fallout. Like, they're pretty, but the fallout, every time I used this palette, it ruined my makeup. So it's one of those palettes that you have to do your eyes first, and if you're somebody who does that anyway, then you probably won't mind the amount of fallout that this gives you. But if you're somebody who likes to do your face makeup first and then do your eyes, this is going to destroy your base makeup because it's so powdery. The kick up is insane. Like, it's, I don't know what else to say. My favorite shade is definitely this green color right here. That's really beautiful. I feel like the shimmers in this palette are definitely better than the mattes. But this is the first Dominique Cosmetics palette I've ever tried, so I don't know. I mean, I've swatched the Berries and Cream, and it looks so beautiful, and it's definitely one that I've wanted. It's on my, like, wish list. But this one was just kind of a miss for me. You know, it's pretty, and I created a couple of really pretty looks. I really like this shade here, actually. I created a couple of pretty looks with it, but it's definitely, again, not my favorite of the summer. It's just not my favorite release. Okay, coming in at number 4 is one that's kind of newer. I actually did just review these, and that is the Summer and Sand Tropez palette from BH Cosmetics. I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. There's a few palettes from BH in here, but the reason is because they launched so much stuff this summer that, and I get a lot of their PR, so I've tried a lot of their palettes, so I couldn't not put them in, you know? But anyway, this one here is the Summer and Sand Tropez. This is number 4 because it's a good palette, but it's not the best from BH. I feel like BH has done better. And I come to expect a very high standard when it comes to BH. Like, you might look at the brand and be like, well, they're super affordable. I mean, what do you expect? Well, I expect a lot because I review a lot from them, and most of their stuff is high-end quality. Like, if you had no idea who the brand was and you put it on your face, you would think that it was an expensive makeup brand. And that is most of the time the case in my experience with that brand. This one, it was just a little inconsistent. Like, these two shimmery shades I really wanted to pop, and they really just didn't pop as much as I wanted. They're not bad, but they're just, I don't know. I just was expecting a little more. Same thing with this pink shade. Like, in the pan, that's like a beautiful magenta shade. And when I put it on my eyes, like, it's okay. Like, it swatches okay. But when you put it on your eyes, it's a little bit underwhelming. I mean, I do have to play with it a little bit more. I've only played with it a handful of times. But I can tell you that it's just not my fave. Like, this purple shade Cabana here, it's not a very deep color purple, and it is a little bit patchy too. Like, I thought that was going to be a lot deeper. And it's just kind of like ho-hum, you know? I don't know. It's an okay palette, not my favorite. It's fun, you know, the colors in here are fun. It does have like a lot of options for color and bright and summery and festive, but I wanted more. I was just a little bit disappointed. So that is number 4. Coming in at number 3 is also from BH, and that is the Run Wild palette in collaboration with Tina Young. This palette is both an eyeshadow and a face palette. It comes with 4 blushes, one that's kind of a bronzer shade depending on your skin tone, 2 highlights, and then you have 12 eyeshadows. I actually really like this palette a lot. Like, if we're comparing these two, I mean, there's a lot of bright colors in this Run Wild palette, and I think that the shadows are just better in the Run Wild palette. Like, the formula is just better, and I'll show you what I mean. Like, look at the difference in swatch. That's Cabana from the Tropez palette, and see how, like, it's patchy and it just didn't swatch right? And then this shade is called Pride from the Run Wild, and see how pigmented it is? I want to do a couple more comparison swatches just for fun. So this one is the shade Juicy from the Run Wild palette, and this one is Jet Set from Tropez. You can just see in the swatch, like, look how short the swatch is. Like, it runs out of color, and it turns patchy at the end. So you can kind of tell, like, the formula is definitely different. And in my opinion, the shadows in here are stunning. So if you're going to pick between the two for, like, having a colorful palette, I would definitely go with this one over Tropez. In terms of the face shades, I love the highlights. I think they're beautiful. The blushes are very pigmented and a little bit powdery. So when you go in, you got to be like super light-handed with them. It's not one of those blushes that like you're going to build, you know? It's coming full pigment at you, so you've been warned. Like, I think the first time I used it, I like put way too much on and I was like, holy shit, like it was a lot. So aside from that though, I love this, and I think it's a great travel palette because you have a bronzer, 3 blushes, 2 highlights, and all the shadows you could want. And with the shadows, you can do like bright, fun looks, but there's plenty of neutrals in here. You've got a couple of browns, and then you've got, you know, your highlight shades that you could use for lid shimmers. So I don't know, I really like this. And then you know, you can also, of course, use these on the eyes as well. So you have like this shade that's kind of like a transition brown shade that you could use. So there's just a lot you can do, and I think it's just great and compact, and it folds. So it folds up, and there you go. It's like super compact and easy to just kind of throw in your makeup bag, and you've got like so much in there. Like, all you really need is your, you know, mascara, brows, lips, and foundation, like skin products. Like, you got everything else in here. So I really like it. I think it's a great palette, and yeah, I would recommend. That's number 3. Number 2, coming in at number 2 is the Sunrise palette from Natasha Denona. Here she is in all her glory. This palette is stunning. It's gorgeous. It really is. And I love that she lowered her price point. I hope she continues to do so that more people will be able to access her products. The shades are stunning. I mean, you can't make a bad look with this palette. Here's the shimmers. Like, they are very pretty. And the mattes are really pretty too. The reason it didn't get the #1 slot, in my opinion, is because I just don't think that these shadows are worth the hype. I've definitely heard that her formulas are not consistent. So every palette is not the same. I've heard people say that, you know, the minis aren't as good as the bigger palettes, and, you know, some bigger palettes are even better than others. But when I tried this, like, I was expecting, you know, with all the hype, and this was my very first Natasha Denona palette. So with all the hype surrounding the brand, I was expecting, like, literally for my freaking mind to be blown, because her palettes are normally $130. So I'm like, for $130, you better be bringing me something so epic that I'm willing to spend more than my phone bill on you. You know what I mean? And I didn't find that to be the case. I think there are some BH palettes that are just as good, if not better than this. So I was like, really? It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But would I have paid $130 for this? Hell no. And do I think that her shadows are worth that price? Hell no. This was only $65, but they should, that's the most it should be. And I do love that she lowered the price, like I said. So this is on the top of the list. It's number 2, but it's not number 1 because I wasn't blown away the way that I was expecting to be blown away because of who it is. Do you know what I mean? I love the colors though. The color story is just like right up my alley. I love cranberries and like warm tones. So like I love this, but I wasn't like blown away. Number 1 on the other hand, blown away. And normally a palette like this would not get a top slot in my book, but it gets the top slot because it blew me away. And that is the Stellar Collision palette from BH Cosmetics. It blew me away for two reasons. First and foremost, when you look at the palette, this is not the typical type of palette I would ever gravitate towards. I don't like that the layout is all over the place, that like messes with my OCD. I don't like that some are bigger than others. I don't like a lot about the layout. And I also don't like palettes that are straight up all shimmer, which this is. There's no mattes in this palette. However, the bigger shades are supposed to be highlighter shades, as well as, you're supposed to be able to use them for both. So, okay, fine. The reason this got #1 is because I made a video. I created the exact same look I created out of this palette with this palette plus another palette that had mattes in it, which everybody has on hand. And it was identical. Identical. And the pigment on these is better than the Natasha Denona, you guys. Like, this is, I mean, they are so reflective, so metallic, just so beautiful. I wasn't prepared for just how stunning these were going to be. I mean, I knew it was going to be good because it's BH, but like I said, I mean, if you had told me like, oh, the shimmers are going to be just as good as Natasha Denona, I'd be like, come on, it's not even possible. If you haven't seen that video, I'm going to link it down below. You guys got to see it because you'd never guess which side was which. You know what I mean? If you didn't know, because the looks are freaking identical. So for the price point and the quality and how beautiful these are, if you're somebody who has like, you know, you have your staple neutral palettes in your collection, you have like, you know, your core palettes, and you want something to just elevate, you know, like eyeshadow toppers or like just super foiled colors that you can just add into a look from, you know, with other palettes you have, this is, I'm telling you, it's like having a palette full of pigments, you know what I mean? And I can't speak highly enough about this palette. And I feel like a lot of people are gonna sleep on it because of what it is and how it looks. But I'm telling you guys, like, this palette, so good. I don't know if it's limited edition or what, but it's my favorite of the summer, I have to say. So that is it for today's video. Those are my top 6 palettes in what order, or it's not even my top 6 of the summer. They're just 6 palettes that were released that came across my desk that I got the chance to try, and I ranked them for you in order of how I liked them and how they performed and expectations and all of that stuff. So I hope you found it helpful. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. You guys have no idea how much those thumbs up actually helps me. So if you're enjoying my content, if you could just hit that button, it just helps my video be seen by more people, and it helps me grow my channel. So I really appreciate it so much when you guys do that. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell so you never miss when I upload a video. You can follow me on social. My handle's @GlamLatte. And don't forget the Glam Latte Beauty Podcast. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Castbox, and iHeartRadio. All those details are in the description box down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.
I just wanna hold you.